I'd like to begin by greeting you in the way that I've been taught, working in Curve Lake as the United Church minister there. So, Amin, Dejnakas Hakeswu Wakti, Bob Cajun Donjaba, Raven Dodem. So my name is Rodney Smith Merkley and I live in Bob Cajun, and I'm part of the Raven clan. And I come to that, and I also gave you my Hiltsuk name through adoption. I was first serving as a minister in Bella Bella, British Columbia with the Hiltsuk First Nation. And I think that's when I first really became aware of residential schools and the multi-generational impact. And I was here on September the 7th for the opening of this witness blanket. I feel a connection to it through that West Coast artist, Carrie Newman. And I've been a part of the group who've been working hard here at this church to post this witness blanket. I think 3 years ago we traveled to see it in North Bay. And I know a lot of people have been coming since September the 7th until today. It was summer back then. It feels like summer today, but the seasons have changed. And I think people's knowledge has changed. I heard over 2,500 people have come to this church. Yeah, you can celebrate that. This is a day of celebration, and it's also a day of letting go and thanking this blanket for the work that it's done, and thanking the people for the work that they've done in hosting, and how we've been changed and how the world's been changed by that. So I give thanks to be in these beautiful lands and waters. People have been here from the beginning, since time immemorial. The Michisagi, Nishnabeg, continue to be caretakers and stewards of this land, and today they're bringing song and dance to this celebration. And so we rejoice in that. Settlers came to these lands first through Treaty 20 and then through the Williams Treaty. And so we acknowledge the Williams Treaty First Nations, and we acknowledge the problems with those treaties, and we commit ourselves to further learning the truth and understanding what reconciliation might look like in the future. And so it's really good to be with you today, and I think a slideshow has been prepared of some of what's been happening between September the 7th and today. So let's roll it. a lot of experiences over the last month. And the other thing I wanted to acknowledge is just the relationships. And it's not just the witness blanket, but it's the Kawartha Truth and Reconciliation Support Group blanket. And Pam Hart is the caretaker of that quilt. Alice Williams was kind of the master quilter behind that, and people from Curve Lake like Murray Wheatung and Dixie Schillinglaw, they have quilts, squares that talk about their experience and understanding around residential schools and how we can make a better future. So I think about the relationships. I think that's something else that we celebrate here today. And Tanya reminded me, hey, I met you on the water walk there a couple of years ago. Every Mother's Day long weekend, there's a strong group of women who walk for the water, in prayer for the water. And I've been privileged to join that walk. So be listening for that. And I guess it's Sharon's granddaughter is a classmate of Tanya. So I celebrate the relationships today, yeah. Anyway, this is my way of introducing you, Tanya. Come on up. Alex is a friend of mine too, and so it's nice to have Rebecca here, and lovely Angel Lands and Centennial Lands. So it's just wonderful to have you here and you with the other two.
Hi.
Close to that. Yeah.
I have my friend here, Rebecca. She is one that I look up to and go to for teaching for myself. So I'm kind of going to depend on her to lead us.
I guess I will introduce myself. Anin bonjour, Wabi Kwadishnikas, Ashkigamon Dojaba, Bijou Dodem, Michisahi, Anishna Bakwa, and my name is Rebecca Lukes. I'm from Curve Lake First Nation. I'm Lynx Clan, and I've been a hand drum singer since February of 2002. I'm a traditional dancer, a crafter, and an elder in training. So my friend Tanya and Lovely have asked me to come and drum today in honor of this beautiful quilt and this wonderful blanket and program. So, Chmigwach, you want to see strong music? when you close with that song, you don't do other songs, right? So. Unless you want to, but
No, we're good.
Is that a traveling song?
That was the traveling song, the witness blanket, traveling back home.
Thank you. Miigwech.
That was the traveling song, that second song for the witness blanket to be traveling back home. Most appropriate. And that first song was an honor song. Becca hit that drum 4 times, and that's why we stood up, because that's an honor song. So when you go to a powwow or a drum social, there's these etiquettes. And this is a jingle dress dance, a style of dancing at the powwow, and it's a healing dance. And that's just the start, right? We're just starting on our learning, but it's good to be on the journey. At this time, I'm going to call on Debbie George to give a thank you to volunteers.
The witness blanket, what an incredible work of art. Such an important Canadian cultural, historical, national monument to recognize the atrocities of the Indian residential school era. How fortunate we are to have had this replica on display here for the past 6 weeks, here in Cannington. For that, we can thank Sharon Woodrow, who saw an article in a magazine and then wondered, could we? Sharon worked tirelessly for over 4 years, writing grants, visiting groups, doing interviews, forming a committee, holding meetings, going to meetings, and of course, promoting the witness blanket. Please join me in thanking Sharon for all. A volunteer organization has hosted the witness blanket. It's also the very first time it's been on display in a church. When the call went out for volunteers, this community responded. Oh boy, did they ever. How lovely it is to see so many of you here today. Thank you for coming. Sincere thanks is extended to the Volunteer Fire Department at Station 82 here in Cannington, to the bunch that built the beautiful barrier, to the 95 volunteers, including people from areas in and all around Cannington, who happily signed up for a 4-hour hosting shift. In fact, many signed up for several 4-hour hosting shifts. In the past 6 weeks, 265 volunteer slots were covered. For months, I carried around a 6-week schedule, all rolled up like a treasure map, and no one ran away when they saw me coming. In fact, they lined up to sign up. The response and support was overwhelming. This church could not have hosted the witness blanket without dedicated volunteers. The words thank you do not seem to be nearly enough. To honor the volunteers, the Planning Committee has made a donation to the Indian Residential School Survivors Society in all of their names. We appreciate everyone who gave their time and energy. Please join me in thanking each and every volunteer.
Thank you, Debbie. And now we have, I think, 11 brave volunteers who are going to come up onto the stage and take a seat. And we're going to hear from them how this volunteer experience kind of impacted them and spoke to their hearts. So come on up, those 11 people. Okay, so if you want to be first, then you can come over here. Somebody's got to sit next to Sharon. Come on now. So when Sharon asked me to kind of come and MC, I do work with the regional United Church. Have a seat, everybody. As Minister for Indigenous Justice and Respectful Relationships, so it's a lot of education and supporting communities like this. And I said, of course I'll come. And I said, well, can we just kind of have a sharing circle and we could each share what happened? And so this isn't quite a circle, but you know, I guess you complete the circle, and you've all got experiences as well. Now, if we pass this feather and this talking stick to everybody, we'd be here till next Thursday, I think. And we need to send this blanket on its way. So 11 people have volunteered and offered to share those insights. This eagle feather, the eagle flies closest to the Creator. It's a sacred animal, and eagle feathers are sacred objects. And this was gifted to me as I began my ministry in Bella Bella, to help with that work of truth and reconciliation, to use in circles, and to encourage people to speak from their heart. When I started working in Curve Lake about 7 years ago, Dorothy Taylor beaded that feather for me in Edmonton Oilers colors. I think that's why the Oilers have gone to the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years. Anyway, so I'll be the mic man, and I'll invite Sharon to begin the sharing.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you, Rodney, for doing this. My takeaway from this exhibit. First, I thought that this was just a very beautiful art piece. It just might help us teach about residential schools, and it was free to borrow from the Canadian Museum for Human Rights in Winnipeg. However, bringing it here has taught me much more. I'm impressed by how communities have come together to share. In the first few days of the exhibit, traffic flow was very light. Volunteers had signed on, but not knowing what to do or what to expect. We even worried that we might have troublemakers and what they might do about security, what we should expect. We even worried, but instead, the kind volunteers shared of themselves with each other on their shift and got to know each other. We had so many volunteers from so many different places. Not just members of this church, but from our neighboring churches. Retired teachers, Lion Club members, people from neighboring communities, museum curators. The list goes on. Many volunteers doing multiple shifts, and I'm extremely grateful to the artist, Terry Newman, for having the vision to design and make the witness blanket, and for the support I've had to present it to you. Language. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was born and raised in the village of St. George, 8 miles, yes, miles, not kilometers, north of the Six Nation Residential School in Brantford, Ontario. As a young girl, we learned a little bit about Joseph Brant, who forded the Grand River in that area, hence the name Brantford. We also heard about Pauline Johnson, about her poetry, but little else about the Indigenous in our midst. When I was young, possibly 7 or 8 years old, I would go with my father in a carload full of bushels of apples to deliver to the school. This was just another outing with my father and had no other significance to my young mind. I never considered the fact that the children would not have fresh apples because we always had an abundance growing up on an apple farm. My eldest sister taught school in an area that many First Nations people lived. The school would collect winter clothing for the children as they came very poorly dressed for the conditions. In a family of 4 girls, hand-me-down clothes was the norm, so we passed them on from Jessie to hand out at the school. We were fortunate that there were always more winter coats, boots, and mitts to keep us warm through the winter, and it never occurred to me that the students wouldn't have the same privilege as I did. I never thought of the significance of residential school, that these children lived away from their families. Because I was loved and cared for in a comfortable family setting, The Mohawk Institute Residential School was one of the last to close in 1970. I've heard stories that it was possibly one of the worst, and for me to grow up so close to this abusive situation is very disturbing that I knew so little. I am just beginning to learn. Having the witness blanket display here in Cannington has helped open doors to further learning, that we are taking responsibility and ownership for some of the atrocities that happened. On September the 30th, 2025, the Woodland Cultural Center opened in Brantford on the site of the Mohawk Residential School. It is open to the public to learn and witness firsthand the story of the Six Nation in that area. I will be visiting the next time I'm home in St. George. I am now able to research and learn more about what I did not know.
As an educator, I first thought this was a wonderful learning opportunity that we would do for others. As the program and the planning took form, I realized it was an amazing opportunity for us to learn together. I don't think I've seen adults learn so much together in a project that I've ever worked on in my entire life. Every time I volunteered, every time I saw someone walk through that door, I knew that I would be giving them an opportunity that they would never forget.
Shaken, shocked, deeply moved. I knew there were residential schools. I did not realize the kind of treatment the children were subjected to. I am especially impacted by the harmful effect these schools have on the wider intergenerational families and family life. The many stories told by the witness blanket, the video, and the quilt. Taking part in this effort has deepened my knowledge and my path to reconciliation. As a volunteer, I have gained a better understanding. Important for me too is the awareness that history can repeat itself. So I have a role in trying to make sure this will never happen again. There is so much more to learn and do. I learned that suppressing the truth is still evident in our public institutions, where power violates the very reason for its existence and ends up being able to stifle the truth for those for whom they are accountable. And this is one of the main reasons I think it can happen again. Horrific as the truth is, learning the truth has been kind of liberating. The symbolism in the witness blanket of the open door, no more hiding the truth behind closed doors. I am very grateful to Carrie Newman, the artist, for revealing this. This exhibit has preoccupied me, stirred me up, rattled me for the whole 6 weeks. I'm so ashamed of this historical record. As a volunteer for 24 hours in this place, and during this visit, I witnessed that the guests were mostly as upset as I was. It's not all doom and gloom. The residents loved their hockey games, and they were good at it. They're not sorry they learned English, because now they have the tools and are a resilient people. There is a need for openness and a respect for all. And it is my hope that this has been the first step in the reconciliation process. I think we can do better. To sum up, I want to say, I believe that finally we have been told the truth, and I believe it is the truth.
Amen.
This art installation is amazing to me. It's also very educational, and it was very humbling to learn all the things behind the symbols on these boards. I was very impressed with the student. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher. I was very impressed with the students I saw here. They were taking it in. They were understanding. When I was a student, and even when I was a teacher, we didn't know about these things. We didn't know, perhaps we knew about residential schools, but we didn't know what went on there. Altogether, this visitation of the witness blanket has been revealing. I've read a lot about Indigenous peoples. I was even once on a dig near Warminster, up near Orillia, and it was fascinating, but this was even more real, because the people who gave these things are still living, are real people. It's not like digging up the past. Thank you very much for bringing this blanket to Cannington Trinity St. Andrew's Church.
I had the honor, the privilege to open and close the church almost every day for the past 6 weeks. By myself, in the quiet, dark, sometimes cold church, I was able to bear witness. I was able to explore the artifacts, and I was able to learn the stories. These stories are a part of me now. Some names like Victor Newman, Art Thompson, and George Littlechild I will never forget. There are so many faces without names, but I know their stories now. I have learned of their residential school experience, and this hurts my heart. I am humbled by the resilience of the survivors. Knowing that children were abused, neglected, and died at residential schools is so painful to me. I watched the 8-minute video with many groups of school children, and the part that gets me every single time is when Carrie Newman says, "Did your school have a graveyard?" I saw children with wide, shocked eyes shaking their head. No, our school doesn't have a graveyard. Each day at the start of my day, I would say good morning to all the children on the witness blanket. I would also say good night as I was leaving, knowing that no one ever did this. No one ever tucked them in at night. No one ever made them feel loved. It was the least I could do. Every child matters.
For sure.
Where to begin? I have learned so much, and I have so much more to learn. Starting at ground zero, there was no other way to go but up. I can now admit that I was ignorant about most Indigenous history and all about the residential schools. Having said that, and meaning it, I will not take all the blame. Overtly and covertly, politicians and educational institutions and royalty have kept the truth from us. A 17th century poet is often quoted as saying, "Ignorance is bliss." That is not true. The powers that followed that philosophy denied the truth and harmed the lives of generations of Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples in the process. I can't count how many times in the last 6 weeks visitors to the witness blanket have said, "I didn't know about this," or "We weren't taught about this in school," or "I thought residential schools were private boarding schools." This has to change. I'm so grateful that I have had this opportunity to be involved with the witness blanket. I thank the committee members that have journeyed along the way with me. The journey is not over. I have many miles to go.
Here in this sanctuary, we see a replica of a powerful art piece created by master carver Carrie Newman, created by this inspiring indigenous artist of the Coast Salish. It tells many stories about residential schools through the numerous artifacts that bear witness to the horrors experienced by these children. It is an interactive exhibit that draws you in and impacts you deeply. Carrie says in a video about the exhibit that he was impelled to create this piece because he wanted to honor his father's story as a school survivor. The blanket honors the storytelling tradition of Indigenous people. The witness blanket has over 800 pieces from across this country we call Canada. They testify to the horrendous experiences of those who attended the residential schools. The destruction of a culture, language, identity, and a sense of family. These wrongs were carried through the generations and continue today. It has been a humbling experience to act as a volunteer, to guide people through while our church has hosted this exhibit. So many stories to explore and so many deep reactions. These stories touched our stories and led to deep sorrow and reflection. One United Church gentleman from Haliburton said, "I think this witness blanket has changed your church." Another lady from Peterborough said, "I lost a child and the pain never leaves. And yet this is far worse because the children were removed forcibly and some never returned." Another person saw an artifact from a Saskatchewan school and said, "My father was the bank manager in that town when I was a child, and he would have visited that school, yet I never knew about it. Some people couldn't talk, they just cried." It was a privilege to be a part of this. So much learning, so much still to learn, but still hope as we travel on this reconciliation road. May we continue to listen to these stories. We cannot move forward until we listen with a whole, open heart. Thank you, Carrie Newman, for this creation that continues to challenge us so deeply and nudges us down the road to healing.
Scale and perspective is probably the best ways I would describe this whole process. I came into it as someone who was looking to promote an event. I didn't realize at the time that my awareness of what residential schools were, are, and still are to people, how much it affects their lives going forward. This scale of the artwork, you think, wow, it's so large. And looking at the pieces, it was a whole. But then I started looking at the individual elements and thinking, these aren't just pieces, these are people, these are children. And you think, wow, this artwork actually isn't big enough. It should be 10 times this size, thinking about how many children were affected. It gave me so much thought and time looking at individual elements. It wasn't just a process of promoting it to me anymore. It became a wonderful learning experience and something that I think has affected the way I look at my children. Thank you.
We have a song that we sing in this church, and some of you will be familiar with it. It starts out, "It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around will warm up to its glowing." So we had our spark, in Sharon. And she sang this song to us in our hearts, in her heart. And so we have, with the support, the amazing support of this community. Like when I look at all the places that this blanket has been, you know, North Bay, we went there. Cannington is just a little dot on the map. But you know, its sign says it's the heart of Ontario. So I think that this has proven to us that this little town, when it comes together, can do wonderful things. The other thing that I've thought of is that certainly the residential schools were a horrific thing. And yes, we didn't know what was going on. But to me, the creation of this witness blanket has made something beautiful out of something ugly and terrible. And the fact that we could bring this beautiful object here, mind you, this is a replica. Thank goodness we didn't have the real one. My land, we would have been worried sick. But the replica of this piece of art will stay in our hearts, I think, and the fact that so many school children came to see it has made us feel that our time has been certainly worthwhile.
I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand. I don't know if that's protocol, but I've been known to break rules before. I feel so honored and privileged to have been a part of this installation and this demonstration. A demonstration of love and determination, and maybe, Dawn, you might agree, a bit of stubbornness.
A bit.
I too am a member of the United Church, not here in Canada. I had the privilege of being at the 30th anniversary of the United Church apology to the First Nations survivors and their families. I was the driver for Murray Wheaton that did the beige block on the quilt, and his daughter Dixie, who did the one in this upper corner. It was worth my time for the whole weekend and all the gas and all the experiences that I had to have to build up to that privilege to take them there. The moment that I saw Murray's eyes on Alberta Billy, the two of them just went, "Oh my God!" They had both been at that first apology 30 years before. And they had both had health issues that winter, and they didn't think that they would be seeing each other. So who's Alberta Billy? Well, that's her nickname. You can come and find her real name on this later. Alberta Bill, that apology in 1986 was answered by the conference of the,
General Council.
no, the circle, the indigenous. Anyway, there's a conference of the All Native Circle Conference, right? So Alberta Billy was chosen as their representative, and what her words were: the apology made to Native people of Canada by the United Church of Canada in Sudbury in August 1986 has been a very important step forward. The All Native Circle Conference has now acknowledged your apology. Acknowledged. Notice she didn't say accepted. Our people have continued to affirm the teachings of the Native way of life.
Our spiritual teachings and values have taught us to uphold the sacred fire, to be guardians of Mother Earth, and strive to maintain harmony and peaceful existence with all peoples. We only ask of you to respect our sacred fire, the creation, and to live in peaceful coexistence with us. We recognize the hurts and feelings continue amongst our people, but through partnership and walking hand in hand, the Indian spirit will eventually heal through love, understanding, and sincerity. The brotherhood and sisterhood of unity, strength, and respect can be achieved. Native people of the All Native Circle Conference hope and pray that the apology is not symbolic, but these are the words of action and sincerity. We appreciate the freedom for culture and religious expression. In the new spirit of this apology, that this apology has created, let us unite our hearts and minds in the wholeness of life that the Great Spirit has given us. I think Sharon, her organizing committee, and all of the volunteers have put that apology into action with their determination, their devotion, and the love that they've shown this project. And I thank them for inviting me to be a part of it. Thanks.
We've got a few things left on our program. The last one being refreshments. I hear there's seasonal fruit breads, cheese and fruit downstairs. I imagine tea and coffee and juice, and just a time to get to know one another, enjoy each other's company. But we have a few things before that. We're blessed to have 3 generations here offering to dance. And so this time I'll invite Grandma Sandy Spence and her daughter Courtney Reynolds and granddaughter Michaela Reynolds to come forward and to do some sharing, and maybe you can tell us about the dances and the regalia if you're brave. You can use that mic, you can use this mic, whatever you think. I think it's on all the time.
Hello, my name is Courtney Reynolds. I'm 3rd generation Mohawk on my mother's side. So we have 2 different dance styles for today. I am a fancy shawl or butterfly dancer. My daughter does both, a little bit of traditional dance and butterfly dance. She's working with me to learn the butterfly dance. And then my mother is a traditional dancer. We're Mohawk from Tyanega. We're Wolf Clan, all 3 of us are Wolf Clan. So the fancy shawl dance is a very upbeat dance. I am on my toes and my feet touch the floor every time you hear the drum beat. So it's very fast paced. The traditional dance is a little bit slower. Your feet are still touching the ground every time. Always on Mother Earth. But it is a little bit slower of a dance, so you'll kind of get to see both styles. Do you want to join us?
Because we've got a usual brass dancer that would be nice to display as well. And you have a brass dancer? Yeah, traditional. Come on.
You're welcome to join us on stage. Okay, so
circle to the left when you go. So
You're gonna see us go over right.
we're gonna go to right, we're going over. Go ahead, you can dance with it. Okay, go ahead.
So that was Sandy Spence with the women's trading dance, a traditional style dance. Her daughter Courtney Reynolds with the fancy shawl and butterfly dance. And Sandy's granddaughter Michaela dancing. And we also have the jingle dance dancing from the national tradition and the grass dancers. So that was awesome. Powwow season is kind of closing down for the winter, but there's drum socials. And so I encourage you to go out and witness that too, that vibrancy of culture. But thank you so much for sharing your singing and dancing. And you're going to get everybody up dancing at the end, hey? So you get ready. Like, you're going to be out of breath too. Just you wait. At this time, Sharon wants to say some words of thanks.
That's a lot to follow. Oh my gosh, my heart is breaking. It's, I'm gonna try and hold it together here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the support that you've given. I just better read what I wrote. That might make it easier, okay? I too had a vision 4 years ago. I brought the vision to the members of this church. I thought we might have some space to display this magnificent replica witness blanket exhibit. After measuring, laying out tape, strings, and pieces of lumber, we determined that it just might fit. Thankfully, we had the architect on board responsible to design this accessible space that we have here. And he was able to plot it out on his CAD program, and lo and behold, it fits just this close. Everyone in this community, in this church, has been on board and supportive from day one. The witness blanket team, and you saw some of us up there today. There are many more, but some of them weren't able to be with us today. It's a dream team. I can't name everyone, but because I don't want to miss anybody. But from those contracting and obtaining library support to technical support, my gosh, artistic creativity and advertising and promotional support, printing and distribution of posters, even replacing those when they got taken down. For those that made the ads for magazines and the newsletters, the artistic barrier designers, the bakers and the cooks, offering fall fundraising suppers, and soup lunches, and fruit bread loaves that we will share following this ceremony. We've also had members on the team with school board connections who arranged for busloads of students to visit and learn. Additionally, we had the volunteer firefighters who offloaded the truck you saw in the video earlier on Labor Day weekend, unpacking the crates and carrying the pieces because we had to unload them downstairs on the lawn out front because the crates were too big to bring up and come around the bends on the stairs, are too heavy. We had them unpacking the crates and carrying the pieces up in the sanctuary for assembly. They took the empty crates to another volunteer's off-site storage facility. This coming week, that process is going to be reversed. We're going to repack and reload the truck to carry the witness blanket to its next destination. And we pray that on Friday when it's happening, it doesn't rain. It couldn't have happened without the volunteers and the volunteer coordinator. I'd like you to all give a round of applause for Debbie right now. She There's over 100 people that have contributed and been volunteers. Debbie had 95, and on the committee we had almost 20 people. So we're looking at a lot of people that have brought this artwork here, who willingly gave up their time to make this all happen. What a commitment. This is the one and only location where the replica, and I think this Debbie had already said this, where the replica blanket has been hosted and exhibited by a totally volunteer organization, and thank you to every one of you. It has also been our honor and privilege to have the support of the Core, the Truth and Reconciliation quilt on display here, and for the stories provided by Pam Hart. Thank you, Chris. There's our volunteer firefighter up there that coordinated all of this. My vision with your support has become a reality, and I believe we've learned more in the last 6 weeks about truth and reconciliation, about the residential schools and the effects they had on First Nation people. I pray we will always be more aware of what we need to do to reconcile. I thank you so much for taking the time to witness the blanket. Thank you.
No. All right, I'll sit by then.
You won't find my presence on the agenda. Trying to plan a secret with Debbie George and Sharon Woodrow around is impossible. But I think we've almost done it. Although Sharon, I don't think she knew about this, but earlier this afternoon she said, if there's any kind of recognition for me, they're going to hear about it. So I may be losing a friend, a dear friend. Debbie's already said that one. Sharon's already said that. So here we go. There are several people that we want to recognize at this time by name and presence. Very early in our process, and there's a bit of duplication in my words here. Very early in our process, we made the decision to plan special events to help us as a congregation to learn more about our Indigenous history and particularly about the residential schools. We invited Chief Keith Knott to speak at a Sunday service. We had 2 book studies. We showed several short videos during worship and longer ones during a lunch and learn. We also learned about the Kawartha Truth and Reconciliation Support Group, a group of First Peoples and settlers that meet monthly in Peterborough to learn and grow. And we invited one of the members, as you've heard, Pam Hart, to come, also for a Sunday service. And she brought this quilt that we love so much. There was such interest, we decided to adopt Pam. And she has faithfully come from Peterborough to committee meetings, guiding us as we planned and learned, and almost daily since the witness blanket, blanket has arrived. Her passion is evident as she speaks, and regardless of whether it's a congregational group, to school children or seniors groups, sharing the powerful stories of each of these blocks. If you haven't heard the stories, there will be time later. Pam, would you please come forward and receive this token of our appreciation, our deep appreciation. Our planning committee had to start digging deep in many different directions. If we were going to make a worthwhile success of hosting the witness blanket, we had to have people come to see it. James McNaughton had previously created amazing posters for other events here at the church. We have been so blessed that he offered to use his incredible talents to work on this massive project. You've seen many of them. Posters, brochures, bookmarks, magazine articles he and Sharon put together. The signage inside the church, upstairs, downstairs. Signage outside the church. The lights work, thanks to James and his neighbors. The signs that you see on the street corners and doorways. The timeline, which was originally an idea of Pam's, and he made it bigger so that it's easier to see in this setting. So this is all the work of James. James, come forward, please. So So James was charged with bringing visitors to the exhibit. How were we going to make their visit here as meaningful as possible? And you've heard some of this. Up stepped Debbie George, there she is, with her warm smile and her huge pieces of paper. We plan to be open 6 days a week, Tuesday to Sunday, from 12 noon to 8 p.m., with 2 4-hour shifts and 3 volunteers for each shift. However, some Mondays were added to accommodate visitor schedules and buses. Friends, that adds up to 465 time slots that Debbie had to fill. The call went out for hosts. As she has said, church and community members, service clubs, libraries, interested parties, and a few, am I doing it again? And a few who you may identify because they have broken arms. They all responded. I believe that there have been in the neighborhood of 95 hosts. Yeah. And those of you, many of you are here today. Back to Debbie. Everybody had to be trained. How to operate the elevator, how to turn on and off the video, where the washrooms were, where the quiet room was, how to use the QR codes. Meanwhile, Debbie was opening up everything every day, checking that the hosts were present and comfortable, meeting school buses, and with others dividing the large groups into workable sizes. Checking back when the next shift came on, coming back and locking up when the day was done. While others helped on some days, Debbie was here most of the time. One day when my afternoon shift was finished, I passed Debbie on my way out, and I remarked that now it was time to go home and get supper ready. "Why don't you do what I do?" she said. "A bowl of cereal can fill you up too." I came that close to buying you a box of cereal. I think the rest is, you've heard already about how Chris was able to round up 11 firefighters, and I think it was an hour it took you to unload, give or take a bit. Yes, wonderful job. So these are just a few of the adventures that Debbie has had in the last month. I think some of her stories are probably locked in a vault somewhere. Please join me in recognizing the stupendous job that Debbie George has done. Sharon planted the seed from that magazine article, I think was about this big. And this is how it grew. She saw it, and she hasn't stopped since. As you've heard, she had a vision. She saw a gap, and she has worked tirelessly to see that vision come to be. She's like 100 Energizer bunnies rather. We would be here till midnight if we were to list all that she has done to make the project come to fruition. She's got a reputation now in Durham Region and Kawartha Highlands. It's a good one, but she has been to all of the council meetings. She's written letters and sent emails and made phone calls galore. And if you don't answer, she will be back. She has spoken, as I said, to town council, service clubs, school boards, school staffs, churches, and our denominational region. She has filled out countless detailed applications for grant monies because a condition of the blanket is that we don't charge admission. We are extremely appreciative of those that have been able to respond in the affirmative. Until now, I haven't mentioned the Canadian Museum for Human Rights in Winnipeg, where the original witness blanket resides. She and husband Don went out to Calgary to see it for themselves.
Winnipeg.
Oh, sorry, yes, Winnipeg.
They started in Calgary, you're right.
Okay.
They were visiting Calgary.
Yes. Hard to keep track of those two. Yes. I typed Calgary, but it's Winnipeg. And I'm told that Sharon is on speed dial and has outlasted several staff members at the museum. Don and Sharon also arranged for several Trinity St. Andrews people and Rodney and Bob Root to travel to North Bay. And I think you mentioned that, Rodney. But thanks to Sharon and the committee, we've had a wonderful opening ceremony, 2 special events on our Shirt Day, and we've had many wonderful conversations. Had over 2,500 people, including each of you, view the blanket and the quilt, all because of a little magazine article, a vision, and a persistent lady named Sharon. Please stand with me and join to show your appreciation to the wonderful woman, Sharon.
We're going to try to have a circle. I'll let Courtney direct us, but what do you think, Courtney?
So around this middle section, so we're going to do what's called the Haudenosaunee Round Dance, and we thought this would be a really good way to end this special occasion because Haudenosaunee Round Dance is a community dance that's coming together in a good way. So what better way than to celebrate by doing this? So we're going to try and make a big circle. We're going to hold hands around these pews right here.
And when you get there, I'm going to offer a prayer of blessing, and then we're going to dance, okay?
I'll instruct you how to do the dance once we're in a circle, okay?
Let's join our hearts in prayer. Creator and creating God, we give thanks. We give thanks for this day that started long ago when an artist, Carrie Newman, had inspiration to gather artifacts that tell the stories, the hard story of many survivors of the Indian Residential School. And we thank you that Sharon was open to receiving that seed, and that seed has been planted here for a time that's touched over 2,500 hearts, and we give thanks for the way that those hearts have been changed, those minds have been changed, and help us to go forward from here in a good way, in a way that might work towards healing and reconciliation and respectful relationship with all people. And so we give our blessing and thanks to this replica of the witness blanket and pray that it travels well to its next destination. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
May I ask a question? Where's it going next?
It's a mystery, but you're going to have to learn how to dance, so listen up.
So this is it's very easy, it's not difficult. Yeah, you're gonna go to the beat. So when you hear the music start, you kind of, can I use your hands? You're gonna move your hands forward, just kind of get a feel for the music. And if you'll remember, I said we're Haudenosaunee and we dance to the right. So all you're going to do is a basic step to the right on each beat. Very easy.
think you gotta switch up at the back. We're a little bit bunched up here. So yeah, move the circle into the back. And yeah, guys, you got the pieces ready to go?
All I got was to do